Trump opens with a stark declaration, calling the situation at the U.S. southern border the worst border crisis in the history of the world. He goes on to outline what he sees as the devastating consequences of this crisis, accusing the Biden-Harris administration of bringing untold suffering, misery, and death to the country. According to Trump, this crisis has affected not just border states, but communities all across America, straining public resources, increasing crime, and disrupting the economy. Kamala Harris and the role of the border czar. Trump directly targets Vice President Kamala Harris, whom he refers to as the border czar. He heavily criticizes Harris for dismantling the border security policies that were in place under his administration, which he claims had made the border the most secure it had ever been. Reversal of policies. Trump accuses Harris of undoing key policies like the Remain in Mexico agreement and halting the construction of the border wall. According to him, these decisions allowed a flood of illegal immigration and crime into the U.S. Failure to act. Harris, according to Trump, has shown a lack of leadership, failing to address these issues over the last 4 years. He points out that she only visited the border recently, claiming this visit is too little, too late. The Catch and Release program. Trump highlights the reintroduction of the Catch and Release policy, where undocumented migrants are released into the U.S. while awaiting court dates. He claims that many of these individuals never return for their hearings, creating an unmanageable influx of people. Throughout this section, Trump frames Harris's approach as one of incompetence and neglect, repeatedly asking why she didn't take action earlier. Trump's record on border security, a stark contrast. Trump then contrasts Harris's leadership with his own administration's track record on border security, painting a picture of what he claims was a fully controlled and secure border. Most secure border in history. He proudly states that under his administration, illegal immigration was at record lows, with anyone caught crossing the border illegally swiftly deported. Border wall success. Trump emphasizes the construction of hundreds of miles of border wall, asserting that it was highly effective. He criticizes the Biden administration for halting further construction that was planned and ready to go. Deterrence and policy success. The Remain in Mexico policy is highlighted as a key factor in preventing illegal immigration, as migrants were required to stay in Mexico while their asylum claims were processed. Trump notes that this policy helped keep many would-be illegal immigrants out of the U.S. He presents this comparison to demonstrate what he sees as a sharp decline in border security since his administration, attributing the current issues to the Biden administration's reversal of these policies. The impact of the border crisis on American communities. Trump paints a vivid picture of how the border crisis is affecting everyday Americans. Overburdened public services. He claims that communities across the country, particularly in states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Wisconsin, are overwhelmed by the influx of migrants. Schools are overcrowded, with students reportedly losing seats to children who do not speak English, forcing districts to hire interpreters. Job market impact. Trump argues that the surge of low-wage migrants is undercutting American workers, citing a statistic that 1.3 million American-born workers lost jobs last month, with many of those positions being filled by illegal immigrants. Rising crime. The former president details several specific, disturbing incidents of violent crime committed by illegal immigrants, framing these stories as evidence of the dangerous consequences of the Biden administration's lax border policies. Through these examples, Trump portrays the current border crisis as a national emergency that's hurting American workers and families. Trump's plan to restore order at the border. Trump outlines the steps he would take if re-elected in 2024 to reverse the damage he believes has been done. He pledges to immediately stop flights that transport migrants into the United States. Trump promises to bring back the Remain in Mexico policy and to restart construction on the border wall. He announces plans for a large-scale deportation effort, particularly targeting criminal elements like drug traffickers and human traffickers. Trump references Dwight Eisenhower's deportation campaign, stating that his own plan would be even larger. He presents these measures as necessary to restore law and order and to protect American jobs and safety. Beyond immigration, Trump takes aim at the broader performance of the Biden administration, blaming them for economic woes and foreign policy failures. He highlights rising inflation, which he says has destroyed the middle class and made life difficult for senior citizens. Trump also claims that the administration's immigration policies are particularly harmful to Black and Hispanic Americans, as they face increased competition in the job market. He blames the administration's energy policies for the resurgence of hostile foreign powers like Russia, asserting that a strong U.S. energy policy would have prevented Russia from invading Ukraine. In his critique, Trump paints the Biden-Harris administration as not only incompetent, but as fundamentally harmful to the nation's economic and national security. Trump concludes his speech with a passionate call to action, framing the upcoming 2024 election as the most important day in the history of our country. He urges voters to choose strong leadership to secure the border, rebuild the economy, and restore America's standing in the world. Trump emphasizes that the nation cannot endure another 4 years of what he calls weak leadership. He frames his candidacy as the only solution to reverse the chaos he believes has been unleashed by the current administration. In his closing, Trump leaves his audience with a stark choice: continue down the current path of chaos and decline, or return to the strong, decisive leadership he promises to provide. He positions himself as the only candidate capable of restoring border security, law and order, and economic stability, casting the upcoming election as a pivotal moment for the future of the nation. This detailed analysis of Trump's speech provides insight into his key arguments, his proposed solutions for the border crisis, and his broader critique of the Biden administration. As always, we'll continue to follow this closely as the 2024 election approaches. Let us know what you think in the comments. Are Trump's proposed policies the solution to the border crisis, or is the situation more complex? Stay tuned for more updates on this and other key issues as the 2024 election draws near.